tried to pull it apart and put it back together. No point in living in my adolescent dreams. Inspired by true events on movie screens. I am a one-man wrecking
Hi everyone,
machine.
and for the final video in our Design Diary series, we'll be taking a look at the iPad Air first generation. Apple wasn't the first company to release a tablet, but they were the first company to really get it right. The iPad Air improved on everything that Apple had started with their original tablet, but in a smaller package. Even with these smaller dimensions, Apple still managed to maintain their 10-hour battery life achieved by its older, larger brothers. Apple did a great job in meeting the goals of usability. The iPad Air implemented Apple's A7 chip, making the product smooth and quick to accomplish all the tasks demanded of it. The iPad Air was extremely effective and efficient, sipping power over long periods of use. This is especially surprising given the fact that the Air only came packaged with 1 GB of dedicated RAM with no option of upgrading later, as is typical of Apple. Also typical of Apple, the physical design of the iPad Air is what you'd expect, with silver and space gray anodized aluminium options. As I mentioned in the MacBook video I did earlier in the week, I really like the aesthetic consistency Apple has going for its products. Except for the Apple Watch and the iPod Touch, which feature a darker space gray color options than the iPhone and the iPad. Even the iPad Air was a darker shade of space gray than the iPhone 6 and 6S, but not quite as dark as the iPod Touch and Apple Watch. While Apple is consistent with its lighter silver models, it really needs to work out what it deems as space gray. But back to the tablet. The external consistency can be observed when you compare the iPad to the iPhone, as the iPad, especially the Air, is basically a bloated iPhone. The home buttons are placed in the same general area, and both the power buttons are placed on top of the device, leading to a functional consistency between Apple's products. This is not only true in hardware, but also in the software. The iPad Air and iPhone 5S were launched with iOS 7, which was the first major change in iOS since its conception with iOS version 1.1. Apple implemented new software features in the iPhone and iPad that really catered towards their users. For example, Apple has implemented a warning whenever a user tries to delete a photo, video, or an application off the tablet that asks if the user really wishes to delete them. This is a good employment of confirmation, which acknowledges a user's critical actions. At the bottom of the home screen is a row of 4 to 5 software buttons which you can customize to your most used applications. This row of apps follows you between your pages and is easily accessible. This helps the user create a sense of learnability and memorability. The iPad Air also came packed with a lot of utility, including features that users thought that they needed. An example of this is the inclusion of iMovie out of the box. This is extremely useful for filming and editing the videos you take with your tablet, even if you look a little silly doing it. While I personally don't own a tablet, I can understand how they can be useful for things like watching YouTube videos or watching Netflix because of the larger display size. I'm not really sure how the iPad fits in between the iPhone and the MacBook Pro because I feel like that the functionality can be filled in by both the iPhone and by the MacBook, which leaves the iPad in an awkward place, and I think that's why Apple is seeing a decline in sales. But that is where we close our Design Diary series, and I thank you very much for watching all 8 of these, and I would say that we'll see you next time, but that's the end of it. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.